like, he sees a person, just assumes they're a criminal, and just piles on charge after charge after charge, despite the fact that he did nothing.
Literally, Cassian's only crime was for walking in the heat.
No. Literally, the crime was sweating.
He's like, why are you sweating? But you know what's so genius about it is because that's actually a real thing that real people in the real world experience when dealing with cops.
Because what do they charge them with? They charge them with loitering.
Loitering by the scene of a crime.
Which, what? That is, like...
Anti-imperial sentiment.
Oh, yeah. Anti-imperial sentiment.
Impeding an investigation.
Which, mind you, us as the audience realize he didn't do any of that.
And also the resisting arrest.
Which, of course, he didn't do. But, like...
I swear to God, like, they really went out of their way. They're like, how can we truly convey how fucking horrible this is? Because, I know. Let's treat Cassian like he's a black man in America.
I'm so glad you said it, because...
It was like, let's just treat him like a black man in America, and they'll get the point.
Because, let's just use a real-world example. When people get charged with marijuana possession, what do they also get charged with?
Marijuana possession with the intention to sell.
Uh-huh. So, it's a real-life parallel that works really well.
I truly fucking love it. I love... This show is so fucking good. I swear to God.
I'm going to try to convince you that this episode was better than episode 6.
Because like, this episode was so fucking big brain. Like, I swear to fucking God. This episode was so fucking big brained. Like, and also, do you know what's the best part about this episode? No fucking violence. You never see actual overt violence once in this episode, but you feel the crushing grip of oppression throughout the entire thing. That is beautiful storytelling right there. The ability to convey the threat of political violence without ever showing it.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about this entire time, but this is also a really well done arc. Cyril's PTSD and survivor's guilt from his failed mission and how it's been completely dominating his life. He's now basically functioning on autopilot.
Yeah.
The 2 times he actually perks up and he's like the Cyril we see from episode 1. From 1, it's when he sees the Aldani raid happen on the HoloNet. You see him stare in the camera. You can see his eyes widen. And you could tell his heart is pumping 1,000,000 miles a minute. Thinking, I should have been there. I would have stopped that. But I'm here. And then you hear it again when he's talking to the guy in the interview. When he's like, I was falsely arrested.
Yeah, we really don't touch on him. Because, like... I think the show's trying to build up to something with his character, but not to like, oh, he's gonna have like a big part in the finale. I think he's just like, I think the show's trying to take his arc in a way that like, oh, because the Empire no longer sees him as a useful tool to their end goals, it's gonna show like the descent of him into not being useful in the eyes of the Empire anymore.
Yeah.
Because let's face it. He just gets a useless office job.
Yeah.
Which, like...
Also, can we talk about the design of those cubicles?
I just want to talk about the set design in general.
Because listen,
I mean,
it was so good. Like,
I mean, obviously, what it does is that it creates, like, a kind of dystopian type, like, oh, this is what you're supposed to do. You're just the man in the desk. You're just supposed to be the office guy. You're just supposed to, like, just... rot away in front of a computer screen doing your thing because that's all you're meant to do. It's very dystopian and I really like it. But I just want to talk... Yeah. But I do also want to talk about the set design in this episode. Like, the cities that we look at, they feel very modern, but they don't feel Earth-like.
Yes!
The set design... Or not set design, I should say. The architecture looks... completely different to whatever we've seen previously in Star Wars, but it looks right. Like,
there's little things. The guy that's interviewing Cyril, he has a tie on, but it's not like a tie. like we know ties to be. It's
Yeah.
space tie.
And-
Or,
and the
or the
si-
newscaster. It evokes the imagery of like the 1970s news anchor at the afternoon news speaking, but it's foreign.
Yeah, I just the architecture worked for me in this episode because
It
it's
really
like,
did.
because we don't see like hyper modernized cities outside of like Coruscant, Cloud City, things like that. But here we actually get to live in the city, and it's so different because like think about when Jedi are doing like Jedi duty on like highly civilized worlds. I can only think to like city tops and that bar in Attack of the Clones.
I will say, if you watch Clone Wars, you do get more of it.
Please stop.
I'm just saying.
The more
this
you
isn't-
say-
I'm just the point I'm trying to make with this is that it's not an issue with Star Wars as a whole because Star Wars can do it. But this is one of the first times they've done it in live action.
But to see it in live action, what I mean, it's just for me.
I really like it. The thing that I really want to talk about in terms of design is how dystopian that fucking office space is. So, for one, you have no privacy, yet it's small enough that you're claustrophobic. Your overseer is constantly over your head. You always have to look up at them.
Because how
You
it
are
works-
always below.
Because how it works is like not only are there like levels from, but the pathway in the middle is elevated, so that way you have to one's approaching.
Exactly. The other thing about it is that it's cramped, but it's uncomfortable as well. It's in an octagonal shape, which makes it uncomfortable. It means that it's not perfectly, square. But the other thing I noticed is that there are 2 monitors on each side, and he has to move slightly in between each one. That little annoyance, that little constant annoyance that will add up over time on top of the claustrophobia, on top of the person constantly over you. The fact that the fact that the border is slightly high enough that you can't truly see the person next to you, all you can see are just those above you, is truly great set design to really show Cyril is broken. He is getting his back broken. He is now nothing. He is the machine. He was raging with the machine, and now he is the machine. And it's horrible. Something that really exemplified this point, though, is how he stepped out of the way for the mouse droid?
Yeah.
Where have you ever seen that done? Think about that for a second. Think about every time you've seen a mouse droid.
Yeah, like mostly you see it in like Imperial bases, and it never gets in the way of anybody walking.
But he was in its way. He's so low that he has to move out of the way for the fucking mouse droid. This is the same shit that Chewie just fucking screams at in the Death Star, and it literally alarms no one. He's so fucking low. He's lower than a fucking mouse droid. When he looks up at his job, when something's coming, he'll see a mouse droid above him. Something so fucking low on the totem pole in Star Wars society.
Because remember, this is a guy people reported to in the corporate town. This is a guy who has made it. And then to, by his own actions, have the entire company town completely dissolved to be overtaken by the Empire, man, this is a fall from grace that cannot be handled well by him.
Yeah, and also he has to move back in with his mom, and this is honestly pretty impressive that Star Wars took the concept of failure having to move back in with their parents and to make it work. Like, you could tell, oh god, there's a reason he didn't live with her before. This is why he doesn't call or write. She's nagging and bitchy, but in the right amount of way. She cuts him where it hurts, but doesn't cut deep enough.
Yeah.
She has the slight veneer that she does care and she does want him to do better, but cannot help herself but to cut him down whenever she opens her mouth.
Yeah.
The way she emasculates him is so perfect that runs parallel to his metaphorical emasculation in getting held at gunpoint by Cassian. because that was a very emasculating moment. Because in a lot of media, the idea of someone coming up behind you, a man coming up behind another man, and pointing their gun at them and making you give up your gun is very evocative of, well, sexual assault of that variety. And so for Cyril, it is akin to a type of violation in that way. He was emasculated by that type of violation. And what came of it? People died. His men died. He lost his job. Everyone lost their job. The world is objectively a worse place.
And it's all because of his incompetence.
It's so fucking good. I love this show. This show is one of... Honestly, whenever I watch this show, I think of Wong. We truly live in an era of peak TV. Because, fuck me, this is some of the best shit I've fucking watched. Period. Like, I'm telling you, I would rate this show currently in my top 5 shows that I've watched of all time, of all genres.
I'm not going to go that far, but I will say I will rate it very high.
I really like this show. This show makes you think. This show doesn't treat you like you're stupid. This show was made for Star Wars fans who are parents who wanted something a bit more deeper for when their kids go to sleep.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to mention before we wrap this up?
Also in episode 6, surprisingly enough, that was the first time we've ever heard 2 things in Star Wars. Locker room talk and someone urinating.
Okay.
Which is actually really interesting, because, one, the locker room talk is interesting because it implies a certain thing. It implies about the cross-pollination, that's a weird phrase, but the cross-pollination of the Imperials with the Donnie folk is, bad. You can imagine what was on the other end of his recollection,
Yeah.
But also the urinating, because it's something human. It's something humanizing about that one asshole. Like, Star Wars has this problem where its faceless goons are just that, faceless goons that are in no way, really human. You just kind of see them as goons. But the scene of him doing locker room talk and just taking a piss makes you realize, fuck, that is a guy. That's a real fucking person. Like, that faceless guy is like someone you could imagine you've talked to. Someone you've imagined you've heard while you were in the bathroom. Especially because the way you hear it, the way it's portrayed, is they're hiding in the hut. So, he's not acknowledging you, and you can't acknowledge him, but you hear him crystal. I just had flashbacks to every time I've been just at a bar or a frat house and, using the bathroom. That conversation just really stuck with me and made me humanize that guy.
I guess.
And also just the general sense of how... Let's talk about... Because they did really well with characterizing the Imperials in episode 6. For example, Gorm specifically assigning the Slackers to guard the vault, but near that they get free time because it's the Eye and everyone's relaxing and celebrating. God, that was such a good thing. Such a very good character writing. Because for one, it shows how in tune he is with his men, but 2, how smart he is, using the faults and personal failings of these men to put them in positions where they'll be the most useful to him as their opponent.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, this show it's really good.
Also, can we talk about Porn Stash Lieutenant that nearly ruined the whole thing because he caught on to the tracking thing?
Oh yeah.
That guy was... That was really refreshing in my opinion. I really liked that. And also, wait, I forgot. The TIE Fighter chase. Oh my god, the TIE Fighter chase! That was beautiful! But I also like the slight detail. The Eye blocks out their scanners. So they can't lock on and shoot. But that's why Nemec has the old-timey scanner. because even that these Imperials wouldn't know, because back in episode 4 or 5, that's when Nemec tells Cass about how they get rid of the old, erase it as if it never existed. It makes you forget. You know?
Yeah.
Like, the amount of oppression they've done to you. By the time you've realized they've done one, they've done 20 others. God, I fucking love this show.
So if we were to rate all these episodes,
Fuck it, I'm giving it straight 9s.
Nah, for me, I'm gonna go episode 5, 7, episode 7.5, episode 6, or 7, 8.5.
I'm giving them straight 9s. Just the more I think about them, the more I see, the more I enjoy the decisions made by the characters. Hell, we didn't even get to talk to them. They're so dense. They're so dense and rich. Like, we didn't even talk about the fact that Luthen is sending Vel to kill Cassian because he's a loose end, which is a complete, like, nice little bow of Cassian's character arc, because that's what he does when he's first seen in Loose End, which shows that the influence that Luthen will have on him from that moment when he sends Vel to kill him is something that will influence him throughout his time in the Oh my god,
I think that's about it on there.
Yeah. So we shall talk about politics now, and in politics,
let's just get this one out of the way because it's pretty quick. But you all need to know this. Student loan forgiveness applications have gone out, and it literally only takes like 5 minutes. Please do it.
Yeah, I did it yesterday. It took me less than 5 minutes. It's a free $10,000 off your loans. Do it.
Although, wait. The application is open until 2023.
Shut up!
If I just hold it off for just a little bit. Just a little bit. I'll remember to do it eventually, right?
Don't listen to this dumbass procrastinator. Do it! Go get your student loan forgiveness.
But, like, it's effort.
Shut up! Less than 5 minutes!
5 minutes?
Less! Less!
No, but in all seriousness, definitely go out and do it, please.
Yes, please do it. It's a very good financial decision, because who the fuck wants to pay more student loans? No one. So go do it. But our next topic, politically, will be about, this is kind of a minorly alarming thing that could come out to be majorly alarming, depending on how the world works, but China has put out an official decree to all citizens that they are to leave Ukraine and the surrounding areas, and that the Chinese embassy will do all that they can to expedite this process.
So this could mean multiple things, but the one that people immediately turn to, which of course, worst case scenario, which we should be prepared for, is the... So, again, this is worst case scenario if this happens, but, like, we are in our right minds to immediately think this.
So a lot of people think...
Not the mic!
Accidentally hit the mic, but a lot of people have been thinking about the fact that, this could mean a nuclear strike in Ukraine, because, well, Putin has been pretty loose with the nuke threats lately.
Yeah, if anybody knows anything after paying attention for the past 8 months for this war, actually, no, it's more like 7 months. But if anybody's been paying attention, they know he's a loose cannon right now.
Yeah, he's been pretty loose with it, but also the idea because of nuclear fallout. But I do want to also say, though, that it's entirely normal for China to do this because it's still an active war zone, and your citizens being put at risk is...
Missile strikes could happen, and their citizens are a threat. Yeah, definitely come back over, please.
Yeah.
But, like, we are in our right minds to imagine the worst case scenario that happening.
Yeah, and the idea is that Chinese intelligence would be more privy to information like that compared to U.S. State Department intelligence, because while U.S. and Russia hate each other, Russia and China are more amicable. It's not that they like each other. The idea that Russia and China like each other is a very, very dumb... that's been perpetuated a lot. They don't like each other. Does no one remember the Sino-Soviet split back during the Cold War? They don't like each other.
Yeah, but it's just something to definitely keep your eye on because, like, again, Russia's in a war with Ukraine, and Russia ain't doing too hot, so They probably have got nukes ready to go.
Oh, did you hear about the fact that there's a new front opening up? Presumably with...
Hear about that. Yeah, actually, I think we brought that up last week.
No, last week we talked about how it didn't matter if they showed up because they would still lose. Because it would not matter because a fucking... what's the name of the country?
Belarus?
Belarus. Fucking Belarus military is not good. Not good enough to stop the Lockheed leftism of the HIMARS. But yeah, personally, I mean, my opinion is this. Should Belarus join the war? Fuck no. Why? Because human suffering is bad. The Belarusian people did not, like, literally did not approve of going to war. Their sons and daughters and brothers and sisters and fathers and mothers go fighting and dying in Ukraine, a country that they have a good relationship with. In my opinion, if Putin makes Belarus join the war, he's a regime. Because think about it.
Yeah, because
Lukashenko will have to expend an enormous amount of funds to prop up his part of the wing in this invasion. And because he's already not liked within Belarus. Can you imagine a major financial catastrophe like funneling money into a war that no one wanted you to be a part of?
Because Russia is already struggling economically as it is due to the fact that they're cut off from the trade of oil, and also just the fact that war is expensive.
Yeah, but there's also so many sanctions that are on Russia that were cataclysmic for Russia. Can you imagine how bad these sanctions are going to be on Belarus, a country that is worse off than Russia?
Yeah. Let's just say it's not the best idea.
Yeah. Yeah. It's... Oh, God.
Yeah. Again, there's not much analysis we can really do of this. It's just, like, point out how much we need to pay attention because this could be signs of something big happening.
Yeah, just... And, like, for some people, they think, Belarus joining the war, what is this? Some, like, World War I fan fiction type thing where countries will just join wars because their allies are in it? Which, yes, I know it sounds kind of fan fiction-y, but you have to remember that Belarus is a Russian...
They want Ukraine for. I mean, hell, that's why they have Crimea right now.
That's the entire thing that the Maidan Revolution was fighting against.
Yep.
So yeah, it is confirmed that Lukashenko has ordered troops to deploy with Russian forces near the border. His defense ministry says combat readiness drills are on the way, which, I mean...
Yeah.
I think the real nail in the coffin will be if we see medical vehicles move towards that vicinity. Because like when Russia was preparing to invade Ukraine, it was the arrival of medical vehicles en masse that made people somewhat realize